Thank you everyone for joining in on this Thursday evening for Pivot's workshop on mastering AI for career growth. And excited to do this with three really great speakers. We have Kunal Parekh, Bhavana Angadi, and Anushka with us in the house. Welcome, all three of you. Thank you so much once again for doing this. And I think today's topic is a very exciting one because we have been now dealing with AI for over a year. It's actually been almost a year and a half since ChatGPT came on the scene. And since then, there's just been a huge proliferation of so many different types of AI tools that has happened. And they are impacting, not just one domain or one industry, but across multiple domains and industries. And that's one of the reasons that we decided to have, people from different backgrounds today to speak about how AI can impact people's careers, how it can be harnessed by them to go above and beyond in terms of creating tremendous impact in their career. So, we'll first just do a quick round of intros and then let's dive in. So, just a bit about myself for people who don't know me. So, my name is Arjun, and I'm the founder of Pivot. And we started Pivot to help people make smooth and successful career transitions. What that means is if you're thinking about changing not just your role, but your domain or industry, or trying to level up from IC to a manager or leadership role, all of these areas are ones where we specialize in helping you land your target role. The way we do it, it involves a couple of different things. Like, for example, we have one-of-a-kind digital career planner, but one of our main benefits, if you decide to work with us, is connecting you to experts in your target field for one-on-one career guidance and mentorship. And we have folks like Anushka, Bhavna, and Kunal as part of that mentor network that you can tap into and get very personalized feedback on each aspect of your transition till you have landed your goal. So that's a bit about Pivot. We'll discuss more during the course of this conversation. But for now, I just want to give other speakers a chance to just quickly introduce yourself. So Anushka, since you're on my screen already, I would love to have your round of intro first, if that's okay.
Sure. Thanks, Arjun, for inviting us, and thank you, Manjari, for coordinating all of this. And welcome to the entire audience. My name is Anushka, and I have about 13 years of experience, varied experience. It's been a very non-linear career path. I have worked in the fields of sales, marketing, and client servicing. And I have basically been in the B2B marketing and sales space. And I'm really excited to share a few of my experiences and how I kept making transitions through my career. And obviously, today's topic is extremely relevant. And I'm excited to go ahead and speak on a few things.
Perfect. Thanks, Anushka. That was helpful. Next, Kunal, would love to hear from you as well.
Sure. Again, thanks Arjun and Manjari for inviting me and coordinating this event. So I have overall like 14-15 years of experience. It's 14.5. I started my career as a sales executive in manufacturing company selling valves and pumps. And from there, I pivoted my career to IT, and from there, from service companies to right now in Microsoft, I'm a senior PM at Microsoft Azure Data org. So this particular org is predominantly on. You might have heard about Power BI and analytics, and also we manage the technical part of the or infra part of that particular service. So as like Anushka has already pointed out, like I pivoted my career a lot from completely non-technical sales marketing executive to technical PM as well. So yeah, and I have seen the emergence of AI, I think from 2022 onwards, and we all have witnessed it. We all are using it one way or other. So, and would like to share more input and how I have like developed my career and what might help you as well. So, I would more than happy to share my thoughts and also guidance as a part of the session. So, looking forward for the session. Yeah, thanks, Vijay.
Great, short and sweet. Love it. Thanks, Kunal. And now we'll have Bhavna also share her background. Bhavna, welcome. I think you're no stranger to this. You've done this before with Pivot. So thank you and welcome for the second time.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Thank you, Arjun. Happy to be back here after a long time. And particularly this workshop, I think this is one workshop where I had to prepare a lot because AI is new to me as well. So I was doing my homework for the last 2, 3 days. So equally excited for the session. Hello, everyone. My name is Bhavana. I have done my bachelor's in engineering and then started off as a software QA engineer. And then I transitioned into product management. It was a smooth one when I did not even have an MBA. So once I entered product management, I thought, okay, maybe I should do an MBA to strengthen my knowledge of business. So then I went to London to do my MBA, and I'm back in Bangalore trying to do a startup myself. More on that possibly some other time. So happy to be here. Thanks, Arjun and Manjari.
Amazing. Great. Thanks, Bob. And I think, AI is such a new field. I don't think it's you. I think everybody is kind of learning and understanding how to use it. Some people are more further along the way than others, but I think we all work in progress. So thanks for sharing that. I think the continuous learning should not stop. Let's dive in. So, firstly, with regard to AI, what I want to understand is it's considered obviously the greatest emerging technology today. It has this sort of flavor of being a complex technology, meaning not everybody feels up to the mark to using it or to use it well, right? So it's always got this sort of exclusionary vibe to it, where some people feel like they can use it to their advantage, who have a technical background especially, and some people don't know how to use it apart from maybe some very basic prompts in ChatGPT, right? And I want to just demystify that for our audience and people who will be listening to this later on, as to how exactly this technology can be used by both technical and non-technical professionals towards making an impact in their career or for the companies at work, right? So perhaps we can start off with Anushka. Anushka, I know you said you primarily worked in B2B marketing, right? Now that is potentially a technical space or a non-technical space, depending on whether you're doing very heavy digital marketing or non-digital marketing or
Right.
other things. But it would be great if you can maybe talk a bit about what have you done so far that makes you feel that AI is not necessarily just restricted to a few people, or if
Hmm.
you think differently, that it is more of a tool for
Right.
primarily technically sophisticated folks, then why so? Like just your experience with regard to that and what you have seen around you.
Right. So actually, I mean, it's a very, very relevant question that you've put out there. Um, Today, I think AI is essential for the non-tech aspect as well, and for your tech professionals. Um, when it comes to driving decision making through data for the on the B2B marketing front, I think AI is extremely important. It your platforms like your HubSpot AI and your Google Analytics for I think these tools really help with quicker data processing, data management, uh, on the content front. I mean, everyone's using chat gpt with those limited prompts that they know of, but when it comes to actually personalizing your copy, there are platforms like copy.ai, which I don't think everyone's really exploring much. So I think experimenting with new AI tools that are trending currently in the market when it comes to B2B marketing, whether it is for your data analysis, whether it is for copywriting, whether it is to understand where you stand on the social media bit, social listening, etc. There are a lot of tools in the market currently that could help your non-tech professionals as well, and give them an insight into your consumer behavior, the behavioral patterns of your consumer through these AI tools. So I think when it comes to B2B marketing, these three aspects, when it comes to data processing and analysis, your content, and your personalization and understanding consumer behavior, social listening, all of these bits are very essential, and I think your AI tools would be very, very helpful and save up on a lot of time, make life much easier. Literally cut down from a 2-day task to a 2-hour task. I mean, everything that you read and see about AI is, I mean, it actually stands true. So I think that's where, it's very, very helpful in my B2B marketing segment.
Got it. Yeah, I think well said. I think there are a lot of tools that people have started using, but there are a ton of them which people are unaware of. And I think
Yeah.
just, first getting awareness around what exists in the market is the starting point. So I think that's well said.
Great.
Just want to move on to Kunal here. So Kunal, you're at Microsoft and obviously one of the companies which is at the forefront of AI today. You don't have to talk about Microsoft per se, but just based on your experience today, what are some of the most significant trends in AI that are currently emerging, which are impacting, not just companies, but individual professionals and how they should think of their career and the job market when it comes to utilizing AI to kind of improve their success rate in the job market?
Yeah, I think it's a very relevant question for the job seekers, and looking at a situation right now where we have like a lot of job loss or layoffs are happening. So it would be it's a very relevant question, and I have a full empathy for those who have been like laid off as well, right? So coming back to the strategic trends, right? So I would just like to take a kind of a step back in order to understand like how come this AI has become so big phenomena altogether, right? So if it look at maybe a couple of years back, right, we were in the era of and again, I think Anushka rightly pointed out the data-driven decision making, right? But I wanted to bring out like how the data has evolved, and AI is a kind of a logical way where we are in, okay, or we call it generative AI, right? Where the data is enabling to generate a content, text, images, and all, right? So coming to the part, like we have to look at what would be the next logical way, right? In order to understand that, we need to start from like we were in the curation era where we were searching something in Google and we were getting the curated response. From there, we moved to the recommendation era where we used to get all the recommendations either via maybe sometimes the search results were a kind of a recommendation, friend recommendation, video recommendation, so many things. It's happening right now as well. And now we are in a generation era, right? So what could be the next logical kind of a trend which is emerging from this is predominantly more on the text generation, a kind of a chat box or chatbots, or maybe a kind of an automation predominantly, because the machines have become not as intelligent as a human, but they have become intelligent compared to what it was a couple of years back, right? So, and this is all because of the kind of data which was fed into the systems and machines and all together, right? So we need to understand that once it will reach at the level of accuracy or efficiency or maybe an optimization and all, right, using optimization and all, it will reach to an era where maybe the text image creation, that is what like generative AI is helping right now, right? So what I would say, the key emerging trends, maybe I would say three emerging trends predominantly, more on the user centric uh, 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 chatbots, or maybe user centric AI applications, I would say. When I say AI applications, like what we are using right now is are predominantly applied AI products. Chat GPT is one of the example, right? But if I'm a PM, like I am a product manager, and if I want to write a PRD, I have a chat PRD. So these are the applied AI products. Okay, so that is one particular trend which I see predominantly coming up, and which is going to ease the lot of misery for a lot of users, and also it will help the job seekers as well in order to curate their resumes and everything, right? The another thing which which I am like thinking from maybe at least 6 to 9 months from the point of view of like coming up the trends, it's predominantly on a kind of a music generation, right? So we have like a lot of like Spotify is and musically like leader in music generate. I mean, in the music apps and all, right? So they also introduced very recently called AI DJ, which is still in the kind of an alpha or beta phase, which is just like act as a kind of an open AI enabled voice assistant engine, where they will recommend you a couple of sounds or musics and all based on what all things you have heard in the past, right? It is little bit different than what we are using right now.
Right.
So that is one. And the third one, which I see as a big emerging trend, which will impact a lot of things, a lot of listeners as well. It's a code generation. So as of like couple of years back, we had like SQL language, Python language, Scala, Java, so many languages, right? But every code language is coming up with a kind of a copilot. Like in Microsoft, we call it copilot, but maybe it's a kind of an engine which will help the engineers, developers, data engineers, data scientists, everyone to help writing the code. So basically, maybe if I look at maybe 2 years down the line, the code generation will be an advanced field where you might just need to know the English language and you are writing it, or maybe there must be some multi-language support as well. And you wanted to say, like, I wanted to select from this table, I wanted to feed this info, I wanted to get this information, and I wanted to place this information over there. So that way, it will create a kind of a complete, a kind of a code for you or for the engineers in order to help them, right? So these are the three things which I can think of. There are a couple of other things as well, like from speech generation or customer service. So many things are emerging, and these are the things which are continuously evolving, right? So yeah.
Understood. Yeah, I think what's helpful in the way you defined it is obviously AI is having tremendous impact in different industries, and it can be served as a use case by almost any company, right? So I think on the user side or consumer side of things, you were sharing, how it might impact you, like especially, if let's say it's providing recommendations and those kind of things. But I think you also mentioned about how it can be an enabler and an empowering tool if you're, let's say, an engineer and you need support from a co-pilot or writing perspective, right? I think that is the one where we see a lot of potential for AI, right? And Bhavna, just want to bring you into this conversation as well. And you are at the cusp, I mean, similar to other professionals here, you are at the cusp of both certain very tech savvy parts of your job and certain perhaps slightly less tech savvy part of your jobs, right? So I just want to understand again from your perspective, do you think it will be essential for non-tech professionals to understand and implement AI in their day-to-day tasks? In, let's say, if not today, but a few years down the line, and even if, let's say, it doesn't become mandatory, do you think it's worth for a non-tech professional to consider using AI so that they can perhaps even stand out in the crowd or, perform better than their peers?
Yes, 100% yes. So tech folks, tech savvy people, they definitely have to learn because there is no other go now. So, and non-tech folks also, they have to learn a bit about AI, how it works. So not, let's say, not on, okay, how the algorithms work and all of that, but it could be just the usage of tools like Anushka mentioned. Okay, so it could be, let's say, using Canva as a tool, right? So you just say, okay, create an image of a person who has just had a failure but is trying to work towards a goal. So simple things like this, right? So it can be very easily used for digital marketing. And me not being a designer, I use Canva. I just write these prompts in Canva. I put it in Gemini AI, and then I get an image. And I'm just directly taking and putting it in Instagram. So that is how a non-tech person also can make use of AI, right? Imagine designing all those fancy digital marketing posts. I would probably take like 5 hours to do that myself using different elements, but AI can do it for you in like 2 minutes. So that's why non-tech folks also have to like, let's say, start using different things. And I think Anushka mentioned copy.ai. I think that's something which I will definitely experiment. So it's more about the awareness, and people have to start experimenting and seeing how to work with these different technologies, and it'll be very useful. It basically makes their work faster, right? So, and that's what we all need. Like we have 8 hours of time, let's say in a typical workday. With these tools, for example, even a presentation, right? Even to make a presentation, I think now there are so many AI tools which can very neatly come up with a very professional looking presentation. So that's how even a non-tech folks also needs to let's say start using these AI tools.
Yeah, I think it's all starting with awareness, and that's why one of the reasons we're having this session today is to generate more awareness around this. Anushka, just with regard to some of the things you had mentioned earlier, obviously it seems like you've come across certain tools in your career, certain, the concepts which might have helped you understand what to do with AI and how to apply it in your day-to-day to achieve certain outcomes in your career, in your work. So can you talk about like how exactly your knowledge and use of AI has propelled your career forward, and what do you think the potential is here in the future?
Right. So in the future, I mean, I think it's going to automation, right? Like, I'll give you a small example. For this webinar, we may have had, I'm just giving you a tentative, hypothetical kind of an example, but we may have sent an invite out to 100 people. We may have got 50 confirmations. Now, in a typical world, 10 years back, 15 years back, uh, we would actually have to type out confirmation emails with the link and, all of those things. Personalization was also a part of Outlook Express, but then there were a lot of other details that you would have to fill in, right? Cut to today, with HubSpot or Salesforce, Einstein, all of those kind of tools, it's all automated, right? So I think automation is one big aspect that people can go to their AI tools for. Like I spoke about the data bit, right? So bulk data, breaking down bulk data, putting in a lot of numbers, etc. All of that has been simplified today. So I think, just these aspects right now at this given point, with 1.5 years of AI being in the market and creating a huge, what do you say, blast with every, I think every month we have about 5 or 2 or 3 new tools coming out in the market. So I think, like Bhavna said, right, experimenting with various tools, understanding what fits your need at that particular time is something that is very important. And also, I think investing a little money in a lot of your AI workshops, which are all over the internet today. I mean, you have everyone, right from a growth school to, I shouldn't be naming so many, but anyway, there are a lot of your workshops going around. And I think just investing a little bit in these AI workshops, understanding the concept of it. You may not understand the entire thing end to end in the first go, but understanding how it can help you, why you should use it. I think a lot of overlapping and repetitiveness gets reduced with, this with AI today. There's a lot of clarity when it comes to results of performance, of how your consumers are looking at your brand. There's a lot of the numbers are more accurate over a manual, going over, I mean, a person going over these numbers and, completing data tasks. I cannot even imagine doing that today, because in the last 1.5 years, we've been so dependent on these new tools, right? So I think a mix
Right.
of everything, experimenting on your own, and also probably investing in, like, for example, in marketing, these are a few tools that I named earlier, like copy.ai. There's also dynamite or dynamatic, I'm not sure, one of them, but dynamite yield, which helps with personalization at scale. So if I have to send out an invite for an event that's coming up in the next 1 month, and I need to create workflows, in order to keep my audience engaged, all of that happens within an hour today, right? I wouldn't be able to imagine this back in 2018-19 also, which is pre-pandemic. So I think self-help and also investing in a few AI workshops would
Yeah.
really enhance and level up your career. Even when you're giving interviews, right? It's always a great thing to let the interviewer know that, okay, if you are not using AI tools or if you've just begun, I have already used these, and you name the top five that you use that are the most relevant to that JD. And I think half your battle is won over there. So that's how important I feel AI is today.
Got it. Yeah, I think very well answered in terms of covering a lot of different ground and what all AI can really do for you. Just a slightly different question from Kunal. Kunal, I think you had mentioned this in the last go around when you were sharing your thoughts with regard to up and coming trends. So with regard to the job market, right, I just want to focus a little bit more on that. I mean, one of the things before we even acknowledge how AI can help you, a lot of people have this fear that AI can put you out of a job as well, right? So we saw a tremendous amount of layoffs happening over the last 1.5, 2 years. And to be very honest, initially people thought that these companies that are laying off are not doing so well generally, but many of the companies that have laid off are, doing tremendously well, generating record-breaking profits in billions of dollars. And so it's not necessarily that their performance led them to lay people off, right? One of the reasons that was kind of attributed for these layoffs was the increasing use of AI by large tech companies and even smaller tech companies, for which you don't need as much manual power to be able to complete the tasks that required, let's say, 10 people to do it earlier. Today, it's only 5 people that are needed. So I'm sure some of it is true, some of this is just hype, and there is a lot of kind of black box unknowability around what might happen in the future. But just from your perspective, right, like how does a person who feels that there is a potential of AI doing their job, especially, like, I mean, this might have been a question for Anushka as well, but there are a lot of content writers, right, who feel that ChatGPT or another Gen AI tool can do a great job at writing. Applies to any job which has writing as part of it. So how do you feel people in this kind of a situation should think about AI impacting them negatively or future-proofing their career?
Yeah, so I think I will just break down my answer in two parts. So first of all, there are a couple of things which you mentioned in the beginning, setting the context for the question, right? So there are so many things about the reason for layoff, and we all know, we all heard so many things. And as you rightly said, few things might be yes, few things might be relevant, few things might be myth, right? So one of the things which I continuously hear from the industry as well, I have a couple of friends in the other tech companies as well, and so one of the things which I heard is like the layoff happened to those areas where the organization doesn't look at that area as a kind of a strategic area. Okay, so that is one. So if maybe something is working on metaverse, let's say, right? So metaverse, that particular bubble got evaporated completely, right? So if you're working in that area, so obviously that is not a part of the strategy, right? Now coming to the part like maybe the AI is going to replace humans, I would say yes and no, but not exactly at this point of time. We are still in the very early stage of generative AI at this point of time, right? As I said, the accuracy is approximately like 50-60% looking at the amount of information that we get, right? It's not as exact as what we are expecting or what the decision makers are expecting, right? So in order to do that, like, or maybe in going a little bit deep dive in that area as well, right? And how one can enhance their skill set, right? So it's very simple. You like whoever is working, like let me take an example of an engineer who is working on SQL, let's say, right? And there are a lot of like AI technical skill sets are required in the engineering stream. And I would also take the name of maybe a couple of maybe functional roles as well, like maybe in marketing or business analysis or product management and all, right? So there are like mix and match of like the skill set between traditional products and the AI ML products in a way, right? So what I think they need to start grasping the concept. I won't say that they have to be technically nuanced. I'm saying we just need to be fairly understand how the industry is going, and we need to cope up with it, right? And again, it has to go in a mutual way, that the organization also has to adapt themselves, and also the the job seeker also has to adapt. So it maybe the machine learning, couple of areas, maybe I think AI related areas. I would say if you go maybe a little bit down in machine learning, there are neural networks and deep learning and so on and so forth from the engineering point of view. From these are like couple of areas which maybe one can start getting the basic nuances, basic understanding of. I'm not, again, I'm wanted to be very clear. I am not talking or in perspective of knowing algorithms, learning LLMs or developing LLMs and all, large language models and all, or developing small language models. But we should understand if I'm uh, if I'm developing a chat box, okay, what could be the LLM that I have to use, right? So what all things I need for that. So that is a basic understanding that we need. If you are working in a product, you should know that I need to learn this particular thing. I need to know why we are using this particular LLM, or why we are using this particular algorithms, why we are using these applications and all. So that's to get a basic aspect of it, right? On the functional roles, I would keep it very generic. On the functional roles, there are a lot of things has changed. Okay, the success criteria for functional roles is to again have this kind of nuances of data engineering, data science, and all, predominantly not in a very detailed way and all, but as a functional professional, my job is to speak to engineer, and if he can understand, because if I have received a customer requirement and I wanted to translate that requirement to an engineer, it is something like which I have to make a kind of a bridge between both the worlds, right? Customer, I have to be very superficial or maybe very high level. With engineer, I have to go a little bit detailed with respect to what that exact requirement will articulate or will impact the product or application, right? So I would say predominantly working on couple of frameworks which might help them, couple of concepts on AI and ML predominantly, because these are like high demanding right now, which will definitely help them scaling them. And also one needs to keep a growth mindset in their mind, in their approach as well, continuously learning. It's just consider learning as a kind of an investment. If you are investing maybe 5,000 rupees on an SIP every day, it would be good to invest maybe 5,000 rupees in education as well, once in a month, I'm saying. So maybe in form of workshops, maybe in form of course. There are a lot of contents available for free, trained. There are a lot of avenues that we have right now which was not there earlier, right? So one should, I think, utilize this particular opportunity and try to take the max out of it. So this is how
Yeah.
I would summarize, Arjun.
No, well summarized, Kunal. I think you broke it down well for people in both, tech roles and other functional roles as well. And there's a very good point that I believe Pawan has raised in the chat here. And he's an innovation consultant in Hong Kong, and he said, AI will never take away your job, but someone who knows how to use AI will definitely take away your job in the future, right? I think and that's a good way to put it, right? A lot of times there have been these technologies which have made our lives easier, more productive, but they haven't always completely taken away, our jobs. I think it's more about those people who know how to use these emerging technologies and become adept at it. Like, think of almost any new technologies that have come up in the last even decade or so. Like, we have blockchain and Web3 and so many other things. It's not like they have necessarily taken away our jobs. Obviously, with AI, you can do certain things which humans can do, but again, they're more of a co-pilot right now as opposed to replacement agents. So I think that's a good point. I mean, some of it will still play out and we'll see how it goes, but I thought it was worth bringing it up. Bhavna, just, with regard to your experience, right? One of the things that Anushka and Kunal have both talked about is what have they done to learn more about AI and how they have tried to make AI their an empowering tool and a co-pilot for themselves. So how does one go about kind of understanding how they can use AI specifically to to kind of leverage it to advance their career, to gain new skills, basically become a better professional than they are today, right? What are some of the things, apart from, like, for example, Anushka shared, you can join workshops and And that's a great way to learn anything new, not just AI, but anything new. That's why we are having this one as well. But if you can talk about other ways or any specific ways that have helped you in learn more about what exists within AI and how to apply it to your specific career at work, that would be very helpful.
Right. So for me, the way I have learned more about AI is through courses, more than workshops. So just yesterday, I completed the course from the Chief Product Officer of LinkedIn, Tomer, and he has explained about like the fundamentals of AI in just 30 minutes. And it is just mind blowing. Okay. Even for a product manager who has been in tech for like last 8 years, there was so many new things to learn, like very, very basic things. Some of it we have already used. So I'll give you an example, which is a chatbot. So chatbot is something which all of us would have interacted. It's there in Swiggy. Now, a simple way to get started is, let's say, into AI. If somebody's order is delayed, okay. Now somebody's order is delayed, they're having a party at home and it's delayed, let's say, by 2 hours. Now the kind of language which is used in the chat could be very different from a person who is normally not angry, right? So here AI will help you and it will use sentiment analysis, right? So generally it will be a bot chatting, but let's say the bot realizes, okay, this person is super angry, is super pissed off right now. Let me immediately connect that person to a manual agent so that there is much more, let's say, empathetic conversation. Somebody's looking into it directly rather than chatting with a bot. So these things, how much can a person, let's say, without AI, you really cannot figure out this at scale, right? Just imagine there are like thousands of chat coming in all over India to a Swiggy chatbot. Now a manual person cannot monitor this and AI has to come in picture, see which chats need escalation, which chats immediately has to be transferred to a manual agent, right? And even let's say even if at all a customer service agent is chatting, let's say even he or she is not able to handle it, again the AI model, the AI algorithm should understand that, okay, let me push it to an escalation manager, right? So that's how that's a simple example that I could give from a use case of chatbot. Okay, so how to develop AI first mindset. So one of the common questions which I get during my mentoring
Bhavna, sorry
sessions
to
for
interject before we just
yeah,
completely move
sorry,
on from that. There are a couple of people who have
yeah.
asked which course was the one that you mentioned at the beginning of your answer. Can you just repeat the course name again, please?
Yes. Becoming AI product first leader. Okay, so
Becoming
I'll
AI.
just
Okay,
type
got it.
it. Becoming AI first product leader. It was just a 32 minutes course and it is really amazing. And he gives examples of Amazon, LinkedIn news feed, like the LinkedIn feed. And it's really amazing. You will understand the basics and it is not very technical also. So definitely give that a try. So and he has mentioned this as well, like how can you develop that AI first mindset? So I used to get this question often in my mentoring sessions at Pivot, like, okay, how can you develop product thinking? So I used to tell that, okay, whenever you come across any favorite feature in your day-to-day apps, think about why they built it. How would they measure the success of that product? Or for example, LinkedIn, they had profile video feature and they removed it, right? So from a product perspective, you can think about, okay, why did they even introduce this? How did they measure the success or failure of product? Why did they remove it? So similarly, Tomer, the CPO of LinkedIn, has mentioned these steps of how you can develop that AI mindset. So first thing is, whenever you're just browsing through LinkedIn, you can imagine, okay, why am I being shown this particular post? Why am I possibly not shown some other post? Okay, so what would be, let's say, the metrics by which I'm seeing this? It could be, okay, I generally like Arjun Prakash's post. He's my first degree connection. I will definitely see your post, right? So it's like that. It's about you putting your brains on the apps that you use, thinking, okay, what could be behind this news feed? It could be even in Instagram Reels, right? So if at all you're someone who enjoys, let's say, comedy types of reels, you will possibly see more of those, right? So it's really seeing in your day-to-day apps that how could AI be used in this particular feature, and what could be, let's say, the data sources. What might have I searched because of which I am possibly seeing this, right? So that could be the best example I can share.
Right.
Got it. Thanks, Bhavna.
I just wanted to
Yeah,
add
please
one
go
more
ahead.
to what Bhavna was saying. So, with the help of AI, you get your recommendations, you get all of that,
Yeah.
right? I guess, I mean, understanding where the route is and how, you get these recommendations, I think that helps in solving a lot of your questions. So, for example, if I am on Myntra and, I have browsed through a lot of Nike shoes, but I think, it's not in my budget. I'll suddenly see a push notification saying that, okay, there's a 10% off on five of these pairs that I've probably browsed through out of the 20. So that is something that AI can also do. So it entices you into making that purchase and, playing with that mind of yours at that very moment. So I think beyond just understanding us experimenting with AI and all of that, we should also understand how it is also working on the other end.
Mhm.
So that's something that I wanted to add to what Bhavna was saying.
Got it. Yeah, I think, just from the career perspective and kind of making sure that we stay focused on how to help individuals who are looking to use AI for professional growth and success. I think knowing this is also helpful because you can understand the extent of where AI can impact things from
Exactly.
a work perspective, right? So obviously it's impacting you as a consumer, but how is it impacting you as a professional? I think that is something that, we like to focus on. And in that regard, Anushka, coming back to you, I know you have discussed, some of the core tools and skills that you believe could be very helpful for folks who are in marketing, especially. But how do you feel somebody who's just starting out in AI should think about assessing different tools that are out there, or assessing which skills they should pick up first, right? Because there's so many tools, there's so many different types of skills also that you can pick up with regard to AI. Obviously, the technical skills might not be for every marketer, like, prompt engineering or, data science and LLM building, like Kunal said. But if you see any specific skills that have um, been relevant to marketing professionals or other people who you have worked with, feel free to share your thoughts on that. And also, like, how should I think about which tools are more relevant for me?
Right. So as a beginner, if you are entering the marketing field, per se, I would just one or couple of 2 cents that you could start using AI in your daily work. So whether it is writing copy, whether it is actually you using your creating presentations, etc. Start using it in your daily work, experiment with it, and try and understand which AI tool is the most user friendly from your perspective. So if that is something that you can nail, then experimenting with it and trying to playing around with it would really help in you understanding whether this one fits your work, and whether it is helping you with efficiency, or whether you need to probably switch to another one. So I'll just give you one example. This is a personal example. I use Salesforce and HubSpot. I've used these two CRMs extensively. However, on a personal front, HubSpot is a more user-friendly CRM that I have used, and I am more comfortable with it. So I have deep dived into HubSpot to understand it further and to know how these innovations are going to help me, with my marketing tasks. So I think tailoring it to what your role is or what you want to do in the future. I think those kind of things would help you, and that will only come if you're using AI in your daily work, if you're experimenting with it, if you're understanding that okay, these are the differentiators and this is what suits my work. I think these are a few things that might help a fresher to begin. And like Bhavna, Kunal also mentioned, I mean, your AI education is essential. So, depending on the nature of your work, I think, that would be very helpful.
Got it. Got it. Okay. All right. And before we go to Kunal, just want to share with everybody who's here, folks. There's been a lot of activity in the chat section, so keep that going. But most importantly, if you have any questions for our speakers with regard to how you can leverage AI within your own role, or perhaps use it in a way that drives success for your company, feel free to please ask those questions. We would be happy to take them up. This is the best time to get these kind of questions answered, because everybody is very open and forthcoming in sharing their insights. So please ask your questions in chat. Now going to back to Kunal. So Kunal, I think the other thing that we have seen a big use case of for AI is utilizing certain tools and certain frameworks to be able to you land your next job. And that has been something that even at Pivot we are working on quite significantly. A lot of our folks are starting to use tools that we have developed, with obviously some integrations with companies like OpenAI, etc., on helping them achieve their career goals, right? Especially when they are making a transition from one role to another. Now, in your experience, you've helped many people, with their career goals and land their next role. Do you see any very high priority use cases? Because there's so many things that need to be done when people are transitioning, right? You have to, for example, you have to network, you have to upskill, you have to prepare your resume, prepare for interviews, etc., etc. Not everything AI is going to take over right away or could assist you, but right now, today, if I am a job seeker, what are some of the things that I should be focusing on in terms of utilizing AI to help me achieve my goals?
I think that's a very apt question. So I would say uh, for every job seeker, I think they should basically focus on the core skills. Okay, they would be having, I would say, every job seeker would be having analytical and problem solving skills, right? But now we have to look at like at what level we are in. So a self assessment would make sense, to have a mentor as well, to give them a kind of a guidance or support or suggestion, or maybe if any courses needs to be taken, or maybe in case if they have some pet projects which they wanted to carry out, right? Because for job seeker, if they have a kind of a work which was something not symmetric compared to what they have been doing in the past and what they would like to apply in the future, I get a lot of queries that okay, a couple of non-technical aspirant product manager used to ask me that okay, how can we get into this? So I would always say that focus on the core skills and focus on something which may like if maybe XYZ or maybe any company is your dream company, just look at what all different products that they have and just look at like what all different areas they have invested into and what they really would like to pursue in future, right? So according to that, I think building the skill set is something very important in this particular case, right? So we talked about like technical part and non-technical or functional job seeker as well. But from this point of view, what I would like to focus is predominantly working on the couple of skills predominantly on problem solving skill, because if you are joining any specific company as a technical, non-technical, functional, marketing, sales, anything, right? There would be, you would be given a kind of a scenarios or challenges or problems, or maybe some, there would be some existing scenarios, right? So I would say having a kind of a user centricity, because every product, every organization is achieving towards the customer centricity or user centricity, which they are calling right now, right? Couple of years back, it was more on the delivery mindset, but now it's more on the user-centric mindset, right? So we can take like as many examples as like what we can think of, which we are using on a day-to-day basis: Google, Netflix, Facebook, Microsoft, Uber, Salesforce, I think, which was already been referred by Anushka in the past. So there are like a lot of examples, and all this particular user-centric, customer-obsessed companies, what they have done is like they have a problem and which they wanted to solve, right? So astute thinking, analytical mindset, problem solving, knowing the industry, and knowing the industry, couple of factors like maybe the couple of jargons, couple of maybe the nuances like Potter's five forces, or maybe 4Ps, and there are a lot of product road mapping, vision, creating visions, for the functional roles predominantly. For technical, it's more on the technical side, predominantly on machine learning, because AI is a kind of it's a skill set, but it's a combination of multiple skill sets, right? You need to know the couple of technical knowledge, you need to know the couple of functional knowledge. So there are like mix and match of many things, right? But just one thing which I wanted to point out over here is when we are using applied AI products, which we call it as maybe a Canva or Figma or maybe ChatGPT in a way, right? It depends on like what you are entering into the search item, right? That's what we call it prompt engineering. It's not so much kind of an engineering in a way, but we have to prompt correctly. Like it's not something like which we used to prompt in the Google days, right? We have to prompt a specific one so that like you get a curated generated response which will help you reducing at least your 25-30 minutes of your work, predominantly in order where you're preparing documents, in order to preparing wireframes, if you're preparing maybe your code as well, right? So technical, non-technical, I think it will help in these areas, right? So I would say all these areas, and along with that, one of the technical skill is something not technical, but from the user centricity point of view, how the users are going to prompt this particular product. So that is also something which we have to little bit understand, which will help our life, which will help in getting the job at least. Yeah.
Helpful. Thank you for sharing that comprehensive answer, Kunal. I think there's a lot of good insights there with regard to folks who are considering a transition. I think, we have seen use cases, I would say, in almost every area of job search or career transition, really, from, helping people understand what roles to even pursue, what companies to pursue, to kind of figuring out how to leverage their network to get referrals, or like we all have been discussing about bridging any skill gaps that you might have. There's so many different use cases, but yes, you have to start somewhere small and then build up from there. And I think a lot of the insights you have shared are very, very practical from that standpoint. So thanks for that. Bhavna, you've shared something very interesting in the chat, which I want to pick up a little bit here, which is, you've talked about one key skill to advance your career as a PM, and I feel like almost in any other role, I'm sure Anushka would agree as a marketer as well, is communication, right? As you grow in your career ladder, there are more and more opportunities for you to share your thoughts. And if people actually like what you're saying, meaning they see gravity in your communication and your solutions, I think there is higher chances of career advancement. So I do feel communication is a key skill. Now, let's talk about AI, right? So you've talked about how AI should be used for communicating or communicate implementation of complex AI model to tech and non-tech folks. I mean, this is a very good point, but I have a slightly different point here with regard to any skill which is important today. Let's take communication. Now, I can utilize, any AI tool to communicate on my behalf, right? Meaning I don't necessarily have to write everything. Maybe tomorrow I don't have to even speak on my behalf. I can have AI talk on my behalf, right? That's highly possible. Now, what I would like to understand is, like, in your perspective, what should be outsourced to AI? Meaning AI being a vendor, almost like an outsourcing vendor, where you don't have to get involved and AI just takes over and does it for you. So for example, if I'm writing my resume, or if I'm writing an email to a client, or if I'm writing ads, as Anushka was talking about, how much of this should be just completely outsourced to AI versus utilizing AI as a copilot, as a companion where I want to stay involved in the process and I learn from AI, and I kind of go hand in hand with AI to produce the outcomes that I am looking for. So you understand the difference, right? That so a lot of people are today seeing AI as kind of like an outsourcing technology where it's like reduce my time and effort. I don't want to do all of this. You do it for me. Versus saying that I want to build better things. I want to produce higher quality outcomes. And for that, I will stay involved, but I will leverage AI to produce that higher quality. So what are your thoughts on this? It's a slightly nuanced question. I hope you understood what I was asking.
Yeah. Yes, yes. So whether to, okay, let's give everything to AI. I don't even want to do it. Or let's say using AI to, okay, let me do at least like 30% and taking 70% help of AI. So I would agree on the latter, because you might have seen in Jira, okay, so Atlassian Jira product, when I'm trying to write a product spec, it says you just give me the topic and then it will write the spec on its own, okay. I said, okay, let it write. And then it wrote, okay. It's like, okay, if I give this to an engineer, no product will come out of it, okay. So it's not like you can give all the responsibility to AI. You just have to use it. All right. So that example with Jira is, let's say I write the product spec, and then let's say there is a Grammarly plugin, which is a spell checker. Again, that is also powered by AI, which most of us might have used already, right? Grammarly, which let's say correct spelling mistakes, grammatical mistakes, and all of that. So it will make my product spec little better. Probably if I've missed something, or if my sentences can be written in a more concise way, right? So that's how I would use it. So, and another simple example is, for example, I have no idea about long-term capital gains tax, okay? And then suddenly I wanted to know about it because we were selling a house. So I just used ChatGPT, and within 1 hour, I could understand at least like 50% of it. Oh, this is how it works. So you just use AI, but I will still go to a consultant, okay, a proper CA to get the proper understanding and proceed with it. So you have to use AI as a companion, all right? So we cannot give everything in the hands of AI. So that's how I look at it, Arjun.
Got it. All right. I think we are coming up on our end time here, and I think there's a lot of different topics, different insights that you all have shared.
Yeah.
There's a lot of noise in the market about AI, right? And people are just trying to follow what they are being told by very, very few people. And I think this particular session, we are trying to get multiple diverse perspectives, not just who are building AI, but who are also using AI in their day-to-day. So I think what we can do to sort of wrap this up here is just sharing your, one big takeaway or one big pointer that you would like to share with the audience that they should take away from this particular session. So Anushka, maybe we'll start with you. I know there is a lot that you have already shared, but if there was one thing that you feel people should really pay attention to when it comes to AI and how it applies to work.
Right. So like your previous question, which you'd asked Bhavna, right? So AI is a great companion. Treat it as an intern. You can give it your prompts, you can give it your instructions, you can give it everything you want. But at the end of it, also depend on your experience. Do understand that the experience that you bring to the table is extremely different from what AI brings to the table. So treat it as a resource, treat it as a tool that will help you build a framework, that will help you build an outline, and put in your experience, put in the things that you want with your mind and not with AI's mind. So I think that is one takeaway. And that's how I'd like to probably conclude as well. That treat it as an intern, treat it as a resource, allow it to make you a framework, let it give you all the information it has, and above and beyond, if you can build on that, that's where you will stand out.
That's a great point. Thanks for sharing. And Kunal, any parting thoughts from you with regard to how people should leverage AI?
No, so I will be very quick. So I think you already spoke a lot, but the one thing which I would like encourage and suggest to everyone, like maybe who is a job seeker or working professional aspiring to get into a new job, or maybe starting their own venture altogether, right? So it would be good to start with maybe creating something on your own as a kind of a pet project, which may be anything, maybe creating a kind of a resume finder, creating a resume maker, or maybe creating any sort of thing which should give them an idea about end-to-end aspect about like how that particular thing works. So if I wanted to create a kind of I think Bhavana took an example of long-term gain text file. So text filing, there is no like a standard text filing software right now, correct? Maybe in order to understand it, I know it's a kind of a complex flow, but if you start with a simple use case, which we see a lot of problems in our day-to-day lives, right? Pick one problem, a very simple problem, and try to look at from the different lens, from the product lens, from the marketing lens, from the sales lens, and also from the HR lens as well, right? And try to create your own thought process around it, dump your thoughts into that particular exercise, and see like how, and you have to evolve it maybe every week, every day if possible, and then you will see that by the maybe 2 months, 3 months down the line, you would be having some structured one page to talk about in an interview, right? So if someone will say that, okay, apart from the work what you have done, so this is something which you can say that in order to demonstrate my product mindset, my learning for the engineering aspect.
Can't hear you
Can't
certainly.
hear you. Yeah.
Can anybody hear Kunal? No,
No.
right? Okay, Kunal, I
No.
think there
Can
might
you
be.
able to hear? Can you able to hear?
Yes, yes.
Yes,
Please
now
go.
yeah.
I think I already finished my thought, but yeah.
Okay,
But
great.
yeah.
All right. Thanks, Kunal. Thank you so much for that. And Bhavna, finally, just wrapping things up with you. So
Yes.
please, yeah, share your thoughts.
Okay. So the way to look at AI is, okay, this might take my job, or if I don't learn it, I will be possibly laid off. I think that's not how we should look at it. I think the way to look at AI is, okay, let me experiment with various tools. And it is really fun, okay? You just keep prompting and then you see different images. Because when I was saying, okay, create an image, it generally creates, create an image of an entrepreneur working towards their goal. It generally creates, let's say, a man in the picture. It will never create a lady. So it's very interesting to see how you can, let's say, then I edited the prompt to say that, okay, create an image of a women entrepreneur. So it's really fun. I think the way to look at AI is, let me have fun with this. It is going to make my job easy. So let's get started, and that's when we will realize the power of AI.
Perfect. All right, great. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. I think it was a great session. Thanks to everybody
Yeah.
who could join us today. This is recorded, so we'll be sharing that. We've also shared the links for all of these three folks who have spoken on today's panel. So Kunal,
Thank you.
Bhavna, and Anushka. If you'd like to connect with them to get personalized feedback and support on any aspects of your career goals, feel free to reach out to them. And once again, a big thanks to all the three speakers. Thank you so, so much. I think there was a lot of good insights that are very practical. Sometimes you get insights which people forget how they should be really applying. So I think all of these are very relevant, very real time and applicable insights. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I hope everybody has a good rest of the evening.